You cannot drink alkaline water and it makes your cells alkalytic. The closer you are to nature, the healthier you'll be.
All right. Happy Saturday, everyone. Good morning, grand rising. We are live streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, and we are on Instagram. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. As you're coming in, go ahead and share the live so others can be a part of the conversation. We have a wonderful show lined up as always for you, so make sure to share the live and also comment. Let us know that you are there. What are some few topics that we're going to be talking about today? What happens during hunger? What happens during cravings? And why whole plant foods rarely cause addiction? Okay, so we want you to have a great time. Go ahead and again drop comments in the chat. Let us know that you are there. All right, we like to know that you're there so we can shout you out. So please go ahead and do that. Again, we are live streaming on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we are on Instagram. Dr. Zarif, you want to go ahead and join me here on stage so we can get started? Grand Rising to you.
Absolutely, grand rising to you also. It's another beautiful day, and it's time to share some great things. I'm really excited about this subject because it affects practically everybody. If
Mhm.
you eat or if you drink or if you're living, you have something to a certain degree that reflects what we'll be talking about today. So welcome everybody. Before we get into this show today, please make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you become our follower. Leave us some good messages, all of those things, and we have great things coming out. It's too early to talk about them now, but believe us, we are moving and growing as we go. Today we have the wonderful Dr. James is in the house. Dun, 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 dun. Of course, this is going. You already know. You already know. I just sent out some more. I just shared to let people know that Dr. James is in the house today, and we are going to really enjoy this. Dr. James, how you doing, brother?
Doing great. Good to be alive. Good to be in this space, flanked by two of my favorite people.
Hey, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get to the real stuff. Thank you, Dr. James. That's definitely mutual. This is a really incredible subject. I want to, before we go into this, there's a lot of things. There's some things that's happening now. We kind of talked about it earlier, but I am so excited that we have more black doctors that are getting more publicity. It's not that they've always needed or they just deserve it. But it's really incredible. So when you get a chance, take time to to look that up. They have also film on YouTube, and there's sisters too. A couple of sisters, all African American black women. This is really beautiful for anybody that's gone through all the years of study and the experiences that we have through the years, and then you see that there are those seeds that have been planted by all the doctors that have come before these other doctors. This is really wonderful. Not to say that we should get comfortable. Hey, we get more black doctors because that isn't so. It's not as popular as you may think it is, but it is still rare. We still need people, black people, to understand how important it is to choose things that can, eventually help or inevitably help our people to finally dissolve some of the habits that keep us sick. So we'll be talking about that today. All right. So y'all ready to go? Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do it. This is really great. Before I go, Dr. James, if you wanted to say a little something, give somebody a shout out, whatever you'd like to do, there it is.
Well, I'll give a shout out to those black.
Uh-oh. The
They are.
audio.
Oh, you can't
Was
hear
it
me?
was it just me? It just went out for a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it is out. It The audio is out.
The headset, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
Hmm.
But anyway, the kudos to the trauma center at Johns Hopkins, where those doctors are paving the way. So,
Yes, indeed.
okay.
Let's keep it up, everybody. We are some incredible originators. You know,
Hmm.
and it's good. We're getting, give people their flowers while they're here, and we want to continue to do that. Care, anything that you got on your mind that you want to share, or?
Well, I'll just go ahead and do like I do and shout out the supporters that we have here. Leah Long saying Royal Rising from Las Vegas. Hello, hello to you. And
Yeah.
she says also, thank you, Z and Carolyn. Thank you so much for being here. Darciel says, good morning, happy Saturday, let's go. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Let's go. All right, so that's my shout out. I'm going to turn it back over to you both so we can get this
Okay.
wonderful show started.
Well, first, let's getting started. Let's talk about today. What we're talking about is like, why are you craving? We're also talking about the difference between hunger and craving. I'm going to actually give you a definition of a few things so that we can make this make sense. Some of the things that we want to talk about is how dangerous if prolonged. If you're eating a certain way for a long time, that can be turned to a chronic illness. Also, a few things that it can also. We're talking about cravings or hunger that can occur after long periods without food, and you have a lot of people on these different diets that say I'm going on intermittent fasting, or they might go on just regular fast. I think as far as I shared so far is that the fasting has more to do with religion than it does as a tool for losing weight or as a weight manager. So just keep that in mind. We'll talk about things more to help things make more sense. So let's start off with craving. What's the definition of craving? Well, it's an intense desire for a specific food, often driven by the brain, emotions, or habits, not actually energy needs. Okay, so that's what craving is. Keep that in mind. Let me give you some key characteristics, such as sudden onset, specific, such as sugar, salty snacks, and fried foods, often tied to emotions, stress, or environment. Not satisfied by just any food. So that's what craving is. So craving is your brain saying, "I want that." That's the bottom line. Okay, then there's appetite. Now, appetite, the definition of appetite is when the desire or the interest in eating influenced by psychological, environmental, and sensory factors. And some of the key characteristics for that would be the can it actually occur even when you're not physically hungry? It can occur when you're not physically hungry. So this is appetite. So that's why I'm making it plain that the influence is mainly by psychological reasons. However, environmental and sensory factors still are part of that. Then it's triggered by your sight, your smell, and social settings or routine. In other words, you can look at commercial, there's burgers, everybody's eating. You get an appetite for that burger because you saw it. You can't smell it, you can't touch it, but they'll make sure that what you are seeing on that TV on the monitor, that is something that will make you want to get up out of that chair and go and get whatever it is that you have an appetite for. Also, it varies throughout the day. It's influenced by habits and culture. These are things that happen. For instance, when we go out to a park, a cookout, for instance, and you smell the barbecue smoke, it brings back memories. Now, if this simple comparison, hunger is driven by your body. That's your physicality. Is driven by your body, and the type of this, hunger is the type that hunger is need. And I'm going to give you, if I should actually let you see a chart here, but I think I got you. So hunger is a physical need, and it is also that stomach growling after hours without food that we hear, and people say, "Oh, I'm hungry. I just finished eating, though." So that is a part of it, and a part of that also is just digestion. We'll get in that to later on because that also goes with flatulence. So starving is when the body, again physical, but it's extreme. It's what type is it? It's an emergency. Starving is when going through days without food. That's what starving is. People say it um, simply as, "Hey man, I'm hungry, man. I'm hungry as I need something to eat," and or they, "I'm starving, man. I got to get something to eat." There that those are just that's temporary vernacular. But when it comes down to it, we're talking about people that have gone days without food. Craving is driven by your brain and your emotions and your specific wants. Wanting chocolate, for instance, after stress. Wanting pickles after you are thinking about, for a person that is carrying a child, person that is pregnant, they may have that feeling or urge or appetite for something of that nature. And then appetite itself is mind and environment. It's psychological and it's what surrounds you. It's psychological and it is that community that we are talking about for human touch and for social reasons. Eating because food smells good. And that is what, when it gets down to appetite, is eating because food smells good. And these are but a few of the things that we are going to expand on a little more as we continue throughout the day. Now, I wanted to get here. I'm going to just change up a little bit here. Um, Go into the hunger and craving, they feel similar. And I know that most people say, no, they're the same thing. But they are biologically very different processes in the body and the brain. Hunger is a physiological survival signal, while cravings is largely a neurochemical, um, psychological desire. So you see, a lot has to do with the brains, the nerves, and is triggered by the reward pathways. Now, what happens during hunger is simply is the body's true energy deficiency signal. You're made aware that you need some energy in your body. It's regulated mainly by your hypothalamus, your hormones, and your blood glucose levels. As far as the brain activity, and I think that Dr. James is going to expand on this a little more, but the hunger is in the body's true energy deficiency signal that includes brain activity. And the hypothalamus is the brain monitors energy status. So the hypothalamus is a part of the brain that actually monitors how much energy the body has. Now, when energy drops, the stomach releases ghrelin, and ghrelin is actually the hunger hormone. Usually, it tells you that you're hungry, and then it also gives you a signal that you've had enough. Ghrelin travels through your bloodstream to the brain. The hypothalamus activates hunger circuits. The brain itself, this tells you that the brain's well, it's just simple as this. It's just when your energy is low, your brain is sending the signal throughout your body. We need food. We need food. Get some food. And that's a part of what is happening as far as the signals from the hypothalamus. Other brain regions activated would be the brain stem, which regulates the basic survival of signals, the limbic system, which motivates your food seeking, and then the prefrontal cortex, which is your decision making about food. Now, hunger generally makes any nutrition or nutritious food appealing, not just specific foods. So you can be actually eating something that you just ate for the first time in your life, and you can really enjoy that because we have that capacity when it comes to that particular sensory. Um, um, Let me see, what can I say? Power or the ability. We talked about ghrelin earlier, that hunger hormone. Well, is actually released by the stomach. You have a lot of other things that we get to. We've gone into the different enzymes. We've gone into the different types of acid. But now, when we're talking about the hormonal changes during hunger, the ghrelin is actually released by the stomach, and the effects are it stimulates appetite, it slows metabolism slightly, and it increases the stomach contractions. Ghrelin also stimulates the brain's dopamine system, and we hear a lot about that also. We'll be going into that a little more a little later, and making food feel rewarding. That is the thing, because that again, euphoria. If it makes food, ghrelin is a part of you accepting that food is delicious, or food is rewarding, like ice cream, for instance. And we'll definitely touch on that a little more. But I want to stop right here because we definitely want to bring up uh, Dr. Thompson right now, and so he can, explain or go into it even more. Dr. James?
Oh, thank you for that foundation.
Yes.
Certainly, I agree with everything. Let me know if my audio suffers. I do have a backup plan. I have my cell phone ready to just press the button to join if this is not working.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's the cravings are incredible because you might ask yourself the question, why does it matter? And I would say that it matters because we are in a situation now where we're a very unhealthy society because we tend to crave things that are not healthy for us. So particular foods, as Dr. Zarif mentioned, the sugary foods, the many of the foods now that have something called SOS, that's salt, oil, and sugar, have been engineered to condition us to be in a situation where we crave foods more so that we buy them. So we may crave those Krispy Kreme donuts. We may crave, that frosty shake. We may crave those sugary cereals. And if you notice, many of the commercials on television and in various areas in social media and the areas that we tend to hang out many hours of the day tend to advertise sugary, salty, fatty foods, the pizza, things like that. So we tend to crave foods these days that are not healthy. When's the last time you may have craved some broccoli or craved a carrot or craved an apple, right? So there are reasons for that, and it's not your fault. That's the thing. People sometimes beat themselves up over cravings, but really it's not your fault. It's the environment. It's the ultra processed food that has gotten us into a trap now, such that as people of color suffer twice as much, sometimes three times as much, from strokes, heart attacks, cancer, and the various even infectious diseases. The pandemic, which is not over, it's certainly settled down a bit, but COVID is still out there. But during the height of the pandemic, the people that were suffering the most were people that crave the foods that are on the screen there, the fried foods, the sugary foods, the potato chips, the donuts. And so we have to address these cravings, decombat. We have to decode to understand how we might eliminate them or how we might manage them. Because it is, as Dr. Zarif mentioned, it's a part of our evolutionary development that we have a desire to eat specific foods, and we eat with all of our senses. We eat with our eyes, we eat with our sense of smell, we eat with our hands, we eat with our ears. Some people like the crunch of pretzels, the crunch of the chips, the crunch of nuts. But there are healthy substitutions that we can make that we can kind of transition that craving to. But it takes breaking the cycle of these highly processed foods. And so as Dr. Zarif mentioned, we'll get more into maybe the nerve part of this a little later with the brain and there's an area of the brain that is the reward center that handles the dopamine that we can talk about at some point. But I'll hand it back to Dr. Zarif. Did the audio come through fully for this segment?
Yes, yeah, that
Okay.
was
All right.
beautiful.
Okay.
That
Good.
was
Good.
beautiful.
Back to you, Dr. Zarif.
Thank you very much, Dr. James. The hormonal changes during hunger, and back on, I know I'm standing on Greenland, but it really plays a huge part in stimulating the appetite. It also slows metabolism slightly and it increases stomach contractions. So many times when you're eating, some of the foods that you're eating also react to all the different types of snacks and those ultra processed foods. Our body actually reacts to them, but it's so slight that we don't pick up a strong signal and we just continue to eat. And whatever we do over and over and over, practice makes what? It makes automatic. And that's what we end up doing, is automatic, that our mouths will just drip when we pass a McDonald's, or if we pass a checkerboard, or if we pass these other uh, Wendy's and whatever else is out there. People are Chick-fil-A. Remember not too long ago, there were people that actually got in fights over chicken sandwiches. Now, this was really incredible because it's like, wait, grown people fighting over a chicken sandwich? Well, they weren't just fighting over a sandwich, they were fighting over listening to and acknowledging what is called euphoria. And once you like something, once you have that taste in your mouth, and you've experienced it before, your body continues to chase that high. That high is euphoric. That is sending a message that I gotta have it, and it's also a part of your brain reward system, not energy, but your brain reward system. The main structure involved is dopamine and the dopamine reward system. Now, what does that mean? Well, as far as the reward system, you have the brain. Uh, well, I look at it like having the structures, maybe the key structures, because these is These are some of the key structures that allow us to feel a certain way about food, whether we're having like, like we're drooping. Well, I'm looking for the word. When we have amylase just all over the place, that's your saliva ready to break things down just by the thought of it. You can just be thinking about food and your mouth will become very, very wet, ready to break things down because of things like the nucleus accumbens, the ventral tegmental area, the VTA, the prefrontal cortex, and then the uh, um, other different things that will also amygdala is one of them when it comes to mind too. Not to be confused with hypothalamus. I know there's a lot of words we're throwing around here, but guess what? This is an opportunity to grow. Now, when you see or smell or you think of certain foods, the brain actually releases the dopamine, and that is one of the main feel good hormones. This produces a feeling, a feeling that's saying, I want that food. Now, this occurs when the body is already, it has enough energy already, but once you can still want something in specific, and your body won't stop craving it until it gets it. It's just, as simple as that. Just like when people have other types of addictions, there are low grade and there are high grade addictions. Many people have low grade food addictions and have no idea that they have it. They just keep doing it. They got to have it, and if they don't bring it up for a professional to look at that, especially your PCP, find out if there is an addiction, get to a doctor that specializes in addictions, and you may be doing yourself a service instead of a disservice. Now, I wanted to go over this before we get back to Dr. James. Is like what triggers the cravings? What kicks it up? What makes it happen? What initiates it? And that's that the cravings are usually triggered by highly processed foods, just like Dr. James said, especially those in high sugar, fat, and salt, the SOS. That needs to be reiterated because when people hear it, it's kind of bing right over the head, and they're like, "Whoa, oh, was he talking to me?" Yeah, I'm talking to you, and this is something that you have the power to do if you only allow yourself to get those cues that we get from not eating foods that are healthy for us. They turn out to be deficiencies, and then if prolonged, we'll eventually have something that a lot of people that can afford to eat, and that is the lack of nutrients. And it's not that the lack of food kills us in America, but what kills us in America is the malnourishment, not having the right foods that we put in our body. Because people can get full off of Pepsi and Twinkies, but they don't get the nourishment that the body needs. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now. I wanted to, well, let me do this just right fast because we're talking about you really need to know, like when I mentioned sugar earlier, but the role of sugar is actually the blood glucose is low or is failing. That's when a person has hypoglycemia, when it's not balanced. So a lot of times your hunger can be connected to the hypoglycemia or low blood sugar. And then when we talk about cravings, the blood glucose itself is often normal or even high. And cravings often follow rapid sugar spikes and crashes. So sugar plays a huge part in craving. In craving, it plays a huge part in addiction also. So sugar should not be taken lightly. If you are using sugar, make sure that you are using very small portions of it. It seems like, oh, nothing's going to happen to me. I'll be all right. But the evidence of that which we know in science, that it is something that we should be looking at seriously, because we can have repeated cravings. We can have all types of habit loops. We can also reduce the sensitivity to natural foods. That's people that eat these foods that Dr. James was talking about, the ultra processed food. They can actually reduce your sensitivity for healthy foods, the natural foods. And that's why people turn it down. You'll see it in children too. They say, why doesn't the baby want to eat broccoli? It's not just because it's a bad tasting vegetable. That's not true. But what they do is that if you give a child something that's sweet, most of the time, or more of the time, that more than you are giving them or her the broccoli and asparagus and corn and those kinds of things, that it will be very easy for a child to reject healthy food because he or she is comparing it with sugar, fat, salt, artificial flavors. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go back to Dr. James now.
Yes, that was a very comprehensive review for what's going on with cravings, and so to just extend that conversation, understand that the way you can beat this is to have an understanding of uniquely what's driving your cravings. We've talked about the physiology of it. Dr. Zarif covered that very well in terms of what's going on in your body and hormones and the insulin and the glucose dynamics there. But now let's turn to what's happening with the individual. So cravings may be on the basis of many different things. It could be that you are tired, that you're fatigued. You tend to have a higher incidence. There is a higher incidence of cravings when you haven't had enough rest. So there's a kind of a list of things to check off if you're bothered by your cravings. And remember, many of us should be, because many people in this country are overweight and unhealthy because of what we eat. And so if you're past that pre-contemplative stage and you're thinking about improving your health, then okay, we need to break these cravings. But first, what's the root cause of it? So I mentioned one, it could be fatigue or tiredness. Another one is you could actually be hungry. Dr. Zarif mentioned the difference between hunger and starvation. That certainly, if it's been 4 or 5 hours since you've had a meal, yeah, you may crave something really not so healthy, but you just need to eat. Maybe eat a healthy meal. And then, thirdly, it could be that you are stressed. Many people have they struggle more with cravings when they're under a lot of stress. That's a more difficult one because that means you have to handle whatever's stressing you, whether it's work or bad relationship, children stressing you, your caregiver perhaps. So these are all different things that can at least explain why you might at some point crave something that's not so healthy. You may just be thirsty. So what's the answer to that? Drink a cup of water. And you might find within 15 to 20 minutes that craving's gone. It may be that you're depressed. And that's something you should always recognize, whether you may be depressed about something or whether just you're anxious about something or the stress has led to that. So those are different boxes to check, to ask yourself, could it be these things? And on occasion, rare to occasionally, it may be a nutrient deficiency. You may, there are women that have iron deficiency sometimes because their menstrual cycle and they lose blood, they lose iron. And that can sometimes cause you to crave certain things. ice. Sometimes you crave ice when you have iron deficiency. There may be some other nutrient deficiencies because your diet's not well balanced. So that's why you want to have checkups, make sure your labs are okay. So there are a lot of things to unpack, and there may be more than one in your life that is the root of why you're having the cravings. And then you address that by trying to make appropriate substitutions or addressing those roots. People that don't get enough sleep tend to have a higher degree of appetite. They tend to be driven more to want to eat something, especially late at night. And that's the worst thing you can do, especially eating something sugary late at night, because that causes that insulin to surge. And then hours later, the sugar goes down. And then you wake up because you have to use the washroom or something. And you go to that kitchen and you get a cookie. Because your blood sugar, as Dr. Zarif has mentioned, tends to go lower because of this up and down of the insulin and the glucose, and so you end up thinking you're hungry and craving something that's usually not healthy. So these are things we should think about and check those boxes to determine how you can manage your cravings. Don't beat yourself up after binging on maybe some donuts or something. Just refocus and analyze, well, what was the root of that? What was happening? Which box do you need to check? What can you do to go forward to do better? Dr. Zarif?
Also that's beautiful. Thank you, Dr. James. I want to add to that too the hunger test. A lot of people might even be thinking about, how can I tell when I'm hungry? Well, you can ask yourself, would I eat a bowl of vegetables, beans, or fruit right now? And if the answer is yes, that's hunger. But if the answer is no, that's craving. So with hunger, the body needs energy, and with craving, the brain wants dopamine. So you see, that's a big difference there. So write that down, and I think that it'll come in handy as we continue on our voyage of experiences through life. There was another thing that we talked about earlier, and that's Dr. James put this together beautifully as far as the ultra processed foods. Like the processed foods, in if you're thinking about maybe like cold cereal or something like that, but there's a science behind it, and that is that the processed foods can actually rewire the brain's dopamine reward system in ways that resemble what happens with addictive drugs like nicotine, like alcohol or cocaine. The mechanisms are not identical, but the same neural circuits are involved. So let's break it down and talk about what's happening step by step in the brain. We start off with the brain's reward system, and this is where addiction actually happens. It's at the center of both drug addiction and food addiction, and it's a what's called a mesolimbic dopamine pathway, and it's often called the reward circuit. Some of the key structures, and you heard me say the VTA earlier, the ventral tegmental area. And this is where the dopamine is actually released. We're talking about the brain now. Then you have the nucleus accumbens, and this is where the processes actually reward and pleasure. This is where all the action is. Then you have prefrontal cortex. This is the decision making and impulse control. This is really important. I should say a little bit more about it, because impulsivity, without the frontal cortex, people would just, without any discretion, just grab stuff to eat and won't even question it. Well, the prefrontal cortex helps you to manage that, not cure, but manage that, where you are making or responding instead of being reactive. Uh, the amygdala and the hippocampus This is more psychological because they actually deal with these parts, actually deal with emotional memory. Emotional memory. And what is emotional memory? It can be sitting down while grandma was cooking something in the kitchen. It can be barbecues, big barbecue outings, or what you used to eat in church when you would go down in the basement after a real nice sermon. All of these things, these are emotional memories. And this pathway evolves to actually reinforce some of the survival behaviors like eating, drinking, reproduction. And when dopamine is released into the nucleus accumbens, the brain learns that this behavior is important. Do it again. This is how we are actually training ourselves through what we eat, what we drink. This is super important because every time we put something in our mouth, we're training ourselves to eat that, either to eat it again, eat more of it, or eat a maybe let's call it a balanced amount, a balanced portion of it, but still wanting it because you've sent a message to your body that this particular food works. And it can be sweets, for instance, like cookies that you like. I just need that just to hold me over, take the edge out off. Or it can be very healthy food, and very healthy food with all the different colors in it, and the I love the aroma. All of this is a part of that message that includes do it again. Now, addictive drugs hijack this pathway by artificially increasing the dopamine levels in these regions. And why is that important? Because ultra processed foods are engineered with combinations rarely found in nature. That's a huge one. For those people that study nutrition science, you should right now be like, wow, that's a big one. The ultra processed foods are engineered with combinations rarely found in nature. So keep that in mind. It's not just food that we normally grow, but it is the food that is engineered with combinations that rarely grow in nature. So that is a part also of our continuum of sickness, of illness, and of increasing the risk of illness, sickness, and disease, or illness and disease. Uh, so let's go on with the other. What else could it be with? And I'm speaking about how the ultra processed food triggers the same circuit. So let's go on to refined sugar, refined carbohydrates, added fats, salt, flavor enhancers like Lori, for instance. You know, people, that's what the secret ingredient for fried chicken and other foods. But fried chicken, that's people that come from the South, that was a part of their Southern dishes, Southern entrees. Now, this combination, it actually produces large dopamine spikes in the reward pathway, similar to addictive substances. It's not that different. Your craving and your desire for certain foods is not that far from your craving and your desire for hard drugs. It's not that far. This is you again. It is what I would just call a simply a light addiction or a low grade addiction. Okay, so a few more things. Remember, the combination produces large dopamine spikes in the reward pathway, similar to addictive substances, and that's what I just surmised. Natural foods rarely create this level of stimulation because they usually contain sugar, or they contain fat, or both in the concentrated forms. When both occur together in processed food, the brain experiences a supernormal stimulus. You see why we're so messed up? Because it actually attacks our brain. It's not just like, oh, it's just in your stomach, but these ultra processed foods can leave you unprotected, and you can definitely be injured when we talk about your digestive system, the health of your colon, descending, transverse, descending colon, your sigmoid, rectum, anus. All of that is a part of your digestive system. And believe me, people are still dying at crazy rates for colorectal cancer. If you throw it in your body, believe it, is you're going to get back what you give. So be very, very particular about what you eat. Okay, before we go back to Dr. James, we're going to shoot over to Carolyn so that she can let us know if we have any questions or any comments, some feedback. Carolyn.
There I am. I was on mute. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that's joined us here. We are live streaming on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we are on Instagram. Great information as always, Dr. Zarif and Dr. James. I just love the information. When Dr. Zarif mentioned when you think about food, your mouth starts to water. I always think about like a nice burger, but it'll be a vegan burger though. But either way it goes, it's, it, yes. And you know what? I'm going to bring you on because people probably think that I'm just like pausing, but they can't hear you, but I can. So let me go ahead and bring you up right now, just so it doesn't seem as if I am talking to the sky or something like that.
All right.
I'm going to bring you on right here. But no, it really was. It was like water. And I was like, I'm thinking about this really good burger, or something else.
We
But
all do it. We all do it.
we do. And even I think about whenever I would say how the mind really does have um, a lot to do with like just the way we think. Um, as far as the way our body acts, I would say something like just think about sucking on a lemon, right? And if you just think about it, your mouth just automatically starts to water. You know what I mean? So it's like the mind is like really an amazing thing when it comes to just being able to do that. So whew, all of that, I said all of that, and yes.
Well, that's great. That's a lot to be said. So thank you. Uh, do we have any questions, Carolyn?
We do not have any questions. I do see some, just some shout outs or some greetings. Suzette Manuel, hello. Welcome, welcome. Good morning to you. And also Denise Kane. Hey, hey, Denise, how are you? Welcome and good morning to you as well. But yes, that is my question.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Let's go back to Dr. James. Dr. James, we were talking earlier, and I know people are gonna love what Dr. James is about to share, and that is the top addictions.
Yes, and you may wonder why is this relevant, and that's because those same areas of the brain that Dr. Zarif mentioned are involved with other addictions besides foods, ones that we're very well aware of, like addictions to drugs. But anyway, there are eight major addictions, of which sugar is one of the common ones also. But there's many of us are familiar with gambling and gaming. There's also alcohol and tobacco, of course, very common. And then there's shopping. Some people have addictions to shopping and drug addiction, as we mentioned, cocaine. And then there's porn and sugar. And Dr. Zarif was mentioning how that works with the sugar causing the insulin spikes, and that's very important. And activating that reward center, the dopamine. But don't get the idea that dopamine's bad. because we need dopamine. We need dopamine. Dopamine is evolutionary to make us want to go get food and to look for those that rainbow of cherries or whatever those foods were at a time when we didn't have ultra processed foods. The other thing is dopamine is extremely important for learning. We learn early on, many of us, when we're children, that you don't touch a hot pan on the stove, right? Many of us learn the hard way, or a light bulb after it's been on for a while. Now they have these neon lights that aren't so hot, but those bulbs we grew up with that got really hot, 100 watts and whatnot. You go touching that bulb. Well, that's because of that dopamine. Also get a surge for not only good things, but bad things too. You get a dopamine surge. And when you touch that hot pan, for 100 years after that, you'll remember not to touch a hot pan. And that has to do with the dopamine. But anyway, in this setting, we're talking about not so good uses of ways that dopamine can harm us, and that is where we have these highly processed food, sugar, salt, fat spikes, and the what we want to get to, since we're getting towards the end of the hour, is, well, what do you do about this? What is the how to on this? How to get away from this? And I've already mentioned that one is to what's behind your cravings, but then there's the further action steps to reduce your intake of highly processed foods. That's where it really starts. Now it's time for you to hijack that cycle and really get that bag of chips out of your pantry. When you go to the store, don't shop when you're hungry. Shop for the healthy foods. Stay at the periphery of the store, in the produce section and in the dried goods section. Don't have it around you. If you have people in your home that are still stuck in the mode of eating the chips and the cookies and all that, tell them to put it away, keep it in their closet or somewhere else, keep it out of sight. Because if it's in your reach while you're in this sensitive time where you're trying to break this cycle, you're gonna grab. So try to reduce these things out of your vision. So you're not seeing it with your eyes, eating with your eyes. If it's out of sight, out of mind. And have healthy substitutes. That's the second part, is to replace them with real food, with whole foods that have fiber. All plants have fiber. That can actually give you satiety. That can satisfy you so that hunger isn't part of the driving of your cravings. So those are two important points. There's more we can certainly elaborate on, but we want to leave you with some cues on how to approach this, and realize that after a few weeks of being away from something, like for me, it was chocolate chips. I love those Chips Ahoy chocolate chips. It was Snickers. It was that Chicago mix of caramel corn and cheese popcorn. I bet some of your mouths are watering right now. But those were some of the things I had to really let go. I knew they weren't good for my blood pressure. I was already on 3 blood pressure medicines. I knew it wasn't good for cholesterol. My cholesterol was high. All those things have been solved now by making healthier food choices and eliminating the highly processed foods. It takes just about 3 weeks, folks. About 3 weeks to get that stuff out of your life, and then it becomes easier and easier as time goes along. And remember, when you have a transient craving and you address, maybe you're really hungry, or maybe you're thirsty, or maybe it's just something else, you're depressed or lonely, it takes usually about 15 to 20 minutes to distract. Go for a walk, call a friend, uh, bring out the book that you've been reading, and get away from the kitchen. And those are various cues that can be helpful. Dr. Zarif.
That was excellent, man. That's beautiful, and it's so true. It's just a vicious cycle if we don't act on it and do some of the things that Dr. James is just recommending. You may be able to move in a proactive way and avoid some of the downsides of the SOS. And that is so important. The addictive cycle just happens in 3 phases. Step 1 is that you have that dopamine spike. And all this is from the eating ultra processed foods causes the rapid dopamine release. That is also what your body is doing when you're eating these ultra processed foods. Let's get clear. What is the ultra processed food? If you look at a potato, picture a potato in your mind. The potatoes straight from the farm. You have it in your hand. Take that potato and you turn it into a potato chip. A potato chip is actually ultra processed potatoes. And you have other things too that, for instance, you have Fruit Loops. One, like these cold cereals. What was a Fruit Loop before it became a Fruit Loop? I mean, what? How did they make a Fruit Loop? Then looking deeper into your labels and the finding out more about the ingredients, realizing that natural does not automatically mean safe. Those words are just thrown around. So the ultra processed foods causing a rapid dopamine release. This actually produces pleasure, motivation, and reinforcement. Step two is that it's the dopamine crash. This is when, after the spike, dopamine actually drops and you feel tired, you feel dissatisfied, and you want more. So you probably recognize that, oh, that's what so and so, why they are so cantankerous, so grumpy. You can't even approach them. It's not them per se, it is their habits. It is a result of eating in a certain way. Step three is compulsive seeking, and that's when the brain learns that food fixes this feeling. You see, if you're eating if you're feeling a certain way, and then you actually eat food to get rid of that. It can be by mistake or on purpose. But if you eat that food and you feel better after you eat that food, then a message to your body, it inculcates your brain that food fixes this feeling. Whatever you're feeling, food fixes it. So it pushes you to repeat that behavior. And this is the same reinforcement loop seen in drug addiction. The same thing. Okay? All right. Well, we're coming to the end here. I wanted to also go into Dr. James. You want to tell everybody what's coming up next for you, how they can get in contact with you, and those important information.
Oh yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, well, I for those that are in the Chicago area, if you're listening in, I'm going to be hosting an exhibit at the Field Museum of Natural History on April 17th between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. That's at the Field Museum of Natural History. It won't be online, so you'd actually need to be there. But for those listening in that are in Chicago area, I'm going to be presenting the Fearless Longevity Zones. And that Fearless is an acronym for the book that I authored. That's from the book I authored about food and exercise and so forth. And otherwise, you can locate me at fearlessmd21.com. Again, fearlessmd21.com. In closing, I just want to say that take cravings as a message and not a failure, because it's something that you should consider that you don't have to obey, but that you should decode. And remember that most cravings last only, as I mentioned, for only 10 to 20 minutes, but unfortunately, most regrets last a lot longer. So thank you for this space and this topic, Dr. Zarif.
That was awesome. Shoot, I'm running out of pens now. I love it. That's really really great. Thank you for that, and everybody, make sure you mark your calendars for those of you in Chicago for April the 17th. Another thing I wanted to announce is that there'll be a No Kings Day in Los Angeles, March the 28th. Those of you that get involved with well, I would say just be involved in politics. It's a whole different world today. So if you are wanting to do something about it and you want to show your support for those people that need support with their voices and speaking against some of the uh, atrocious things that are going on in our world. I was going to say city, but I would be remiss in saying that it's really in the entire world. We're in a situation. This is what happens when things go unchecked, when there are no consequences, and when things go unchecked and there are no consequences, people tend to get out of order. They become abusive, and we end up again. Those people that aren't the billionaires end up picking up the check. Um, the No King's Day uh, protest is March the 28th. You'll have to keep just make sure you keep coming to the site because I'll have more information. I'm just telling you this as I get it. There are some more things that I would like everybody to know here in Crenshaw Mall. There is a community center downstairs. Then there's also an Afro City that's downstairs and an Afro City Museum upstairs. So that's for those of you that want to go over to Obama Boulevard and find out more. Go into the well, this is actually called the Crenshaw Mall. Go into the Crenshaw Mall and support the brothers and sisters over there. All right. We have anything, Care, anything that you that I need to say?
Um, Probably, but I do. There is a comment here from Suzette. And let me see. She says, "Thank you. I think the conversation is very important and interesting. The conversation makes me think. Thank you." So that is
Awesome.
the comment. Appreciate that so much. Thank you, Suzette, for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to let everybody know too that on June the 6th at 9 a.m., there's going to be it's going to be like a farmer's market, a food pantry, if you will, and that's June the 6th. That's is that a I believe that's a Saturday, and that's going to be at the uh, Grace Church here. I'm going to see if I can find anything. Sometimes I'll be getting we get a lot of invitations and it goes pretty fast. But anyway, I'll have more information about that as time goes on. Stay in touch with the on the certain networks like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Will let you know where we are and the address and all that good stuff. All right. This was I knew this was going to be jamming. This is, oh, it's beautiful. It's so much. And we need to do this again because we'll get a little more nerdy with it, with the limbic system. It's just really incredible. Because I wanted to compare the limbic system also with the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is also a part of our brain that we should know about that because the way that we react to light and darkness, how we react to even sound, when they have the certain types of music can change your um, state of mind from sympathetic to parasympathetic, and that's a huge difference because one is fight and flight and the other one is relaxation. So we just got stuff to talk about, man. It's just really, really great. Tell everybody in your family and their family's family, we are here to stay. You got to join us. Get out of bed. Get that, it's getting warm. You don't need to be. No, let me stop preaching. But anyway, everybody, thank you very much for joining us today. If there's no more last words or anything, I do want everybody to go and check me out. My book is on drzarif.com. I usually forget that. Got it today. Check it out. We got more to bring to you. I'm Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist.